Well, it's springtime and I'm pretty darn excited. I'm back in the ICU looking at patients that have had strokes and are in comatose states. And that's really where I have been able to really embrace, I think, an understanding of the frailty of humanism, but also the great strength of it. And I'm really lucky because my movement disorder rounds are becoming even more robust than they've been in the almost 40 years that I've been dealing with these conditions. I'm going to tell you a little bit about dystonia because we're going to be talking about it at the International Society for Clinical Neurology conference that's coming up next October. We have a world-class group of people from Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Paris, Cambridge, on and on. But let me tell you a little bit about what I'm doing and the understanding of this enigmatic disease of dystonia. We've known about it for about 100 years. In other words, it's been described for 100 years. But if you look at art and you look at the history of people's representation of human passion, you'll see it from really the beginning of time. So what do we know in our last 100 years? Well, we know a lot, and we really know that we don't know a lot about the pathophysiology because we really have considered dystonia as a basal ganglionic disorder, but recently some of the things that I've been doing and some of the things that my team have been working on is therapeutic consequences where we use cerebellar integration into the system, and as a consequence we've got a pretty good case of involvement of the cerebellum with this dystonic sensory motor network. Now, we know that in animal models we can knock out dystonia by modulating cerebellar function. I've got a couple of rat models. I have an alpha-synucleinopathy rat and I've got a tauopathy rat, and we have these dystonic rats, and you can really just knock it out if you modify cerebellar function. So when we look at the cerebellum, we know that if you've got a cerebellar lesion, when I look at my SCA patients, you can have a secondary dystonia associated with that. So what do we think about in regards to the individual paradigms of movement error or sensory prediction errors, or how the actual movement is different from the planned movement or the integrated movement, or the ability to adapt behavior in response to something that is novel, such as we see in a cerebellar type of condition where things are going fine and all of a sudden there's a change, whether it's a finger to nose test or something else. We have this crucial type of presentation of forward models that really are going to drive adaptation. So at this conference, we're going to be talking a lot about this research. We're going to be talking about increasing human function after a novel type of surgical procedure that gets rid of GERD rather interestingly. And then what you do afterwards. We're going to be talking about the doctors to the stars, the otolaryngological surgeons that are using physical medicine techniques to allow people to sing a little bit better, the physicians that are involving in dance. So we're going to see some really pretty spectacular people, and I'm looking forward to sharing some pretty amazing things that I'm seeing not only in my lab but also in my rounds. And I'm going to tell you about my recent grand rounds at Yale, surgical transplantation. I was giving a lecture in a place where Harvey Cushing sat when you're looking at a surgical amphitheater from the 1800s. Anyway, it's springtime and things are just blossoming, except for our friends in the north who just got snow today. Everything else is just popping up flowers. I'm back up to Boston next week, and then we have the marathon, and I'm just excited as can be, and I really can't wait till October. So I'm anxious. You can hear more about this. I'm excited, but I'm excited for patients, and I'm excited to see you all. Take good care.